Hey everybody, NFIHammer here, and I'm about to play my first ever 1000 point game of Warhammer 10th edition. Get ready for some exciting action with Necron versus Aeldari. For those of you who might not have been following along on my journey, I'm a recent beginner in the hobby, and I've been documenting my experience here on this channel so that other beginners can watch and not feel so alone and not so intimidated by the hobby. I've met some amazing people and it's been such a supportive community. Highly recommend it for everyone. So today my friend Andy, who is playing Aeldari, will be versing my Necrons, who I have been painting and building on this channel. So every unit you see here, every bit of terrain, you can watch a video showing how I did it step by step along the way. Let's jump into what units we're bringing along today. So I've got 20 Necron warriors, and they're going to be joined up to crypto thralls, which are the ones that I painted a couple of weeks ago. So what they do is they attach themselves as part of the bodyguard, even though they're separate kind of models. So there's actually 22 units in the bodyguard. They've got a feel no pain ability, so that when you wound the unit, these two guys die first, so that they get the feel no pain to hopefully last longer. They've got 2 wounds each as well, so they're a little bit tougher. So leading the unit is going to be this Necron Overlord. He has a resurrection orb, so he regenerates in your command phase as well as mine. And he also has a 0 CP ability that you can use, and you can even use the same stratagem twice in the same phase, except Overwatch. So he can resurrect twice. I'm going to try the Staff of Light war gear on him, even though he actually has a war scythe, but I thought we might as well try something a bit different. And then I also found out that you can attach one cryptek to the same unit as an Overlord or a Royal Warden. So this guy, he gives feel no pain to the entire unit as well. So it just makes everything a lot tougher. Then my second unit, I've got 5 Immortals. I would do 10, but I don't own 10. So yeah, they're just pretty much the same, slightly stronger warriors. Leading them is a Royal Warden. He gives +1 to hit, but that's the detachment roll, so it's kind of pointless. He does let you advance and have like assault on your weapons, so it gives a little bit more mobility, plus the Chronomancer, which is also lets you move after your shoot, so you can like go back into cover or you can keep advancing, so that gives a bit more mobility. And then I've also got this Canoptic Doomstalker. So this is the only model that I have that isn't part of the Imperium magazine. I bought it for the 300 subscribers from the Games Workshop store. He just basically sits back and shoots stuff. So we'll see how he goes. And then this is the newest model that I painted, which is the Canoptic Reanimator. He basically has a 12-inch, I think it is, aura, that when people regenerate, they regenerate even more wounds. I should have mentioned that the Necron warriors at the start, they also by default regenerate more wounds. So they all kind of add on top of each other. And then to round out the 1000 points, I've got 6 Canoptic Scarab Swarms, which last time died before they could get an attack off. So we'll see if they get anything off, as well as the Canoptic Spider, who also died before he could shoot. So hopefully they can. He has an ability to resurrect the spiders. So yeah, that's it for the... Oh, I think I've also on the Overlord put one of those enhancements on that helps them teleport off the table and then come back in the opponent's turn, because I had 20 points there. So that's it for the 1000 Necron side.
So we've got a Avatar of Cain. He is like just short of 300 points, so he is incredibly tough because he halves all wounds coming in with his 14 wounds and a 2+, a 4+ invulnerable, toughness 12. So he'll be your biggest threat of most of my army. You can avoid him, or you can try and take him out, but yeah, he's a tough. So my leader is a Farseer. So last time we played him as Eldrad, the Suta one. This one's just a regular Farseer. So his ability is he changes one of the dice rolls to 6. So while Eldrad gave 3 extra dice, this guy's normal dice amounts, but one of them I can just convert to a 6, and he can buff another unit, which will probably be the Avatar, if he's at range, to take 1 off the wound roll. So Avatar's already going to be difficult for you to wound, so another, make it even harder again. He's supported with Warlock Conclave, so they are just kind of like bodyguards for the Farseer, and just extra way of, extra damage. Like the Farseer and bodyguards are good hoardy, shooty things. The Farseer is not as good as Eldrad for like, he can't snipe like the last guy did, but instead he's just D6 attacks, D3 damage kind of psychic thing. I got some troops, got some Dire Avengers, got 10 of them. They are kind of good for just sitting on objectives because they overwatch on 5+ or 4+ if they're on a objective. So good, just shooty little space elves. Got my least favourite unit I'm bringing today is the Guardians Defenders with I don't have the printed off card, I think because I decided I never want to use them, so but today I'm bringing them. So they've just got a scatter laser because that's what it's kind of fitted out for, and I like the paint job I did on that one. I just don't like the paint job of the rest of them. Warp Spiners are the most competitive of all of my stuff. Not because they can damage or toughness, but because they can move 24 inches, risking a D6 chance of one of them dying. But things like any objectives, like getting into your zone, these guys can just hide and get in your zone really easy. So they, very competitive supposedly. But got some tanks. Got a Falcon tank, not as good as the Fire Prism. Everyone says the Fire Prism is best, but Falcon, kind of cool. He's rocking, I think, looks like he's got the scatter laser, the pulse laser. I think when I gave you the list, I said it was a Bright Lance. I would have, if I was metagaming you, I'd actually put an Eldar missile launcher, would be the best of the two, but I think I said it was Bright Lance, so we'll give him a Bright Lance, and then he'll just, I guess, target your big heavy stuff to kill it. And Viper, and he can deep strike. I haven't worked out a strategy to know if I'll deep strike with him. It's kind of weird to tank deep striking, but yeah, he can deep strike. And Viper, just another Bright Lance, because that's what I have in the spreadsheet. Not very cost effective for your weapon, effective for your army, but what the hell. And when he shoots stuff, they lose their terrain ability, harassment fire in your shooting phase. Any model hit by these attacks loses the benefit of cover. So yeah, that's my army.
Our impartial third person drew randomly 1 deployment, mission, rule, and primary mission card. So we pulled out the Hammer and Anvil deployment zone, which is pretty straightforward. Just one end is defender and one end is attacker. Everything's quite symmetrical. So for the primary mission, what we have is if you, at the end of each command phase, the players whose turn it is scores VPs. If they control the objective marker in their own deployment zone, you get 2 victory points. For each one in no man's land, which there's 3 of, you get 5 victory points. And then finally, if you control the one in the opponent's deployment zone, you get 6 victory points. And just on the final round, the player who goes second scores at the end of their turn, just to balance things out. And the mission rule is there's no mission rule, so that's keeping things quite simple. Just pausing the video here to give some post-game analysis insight. So things that I didn't realize at the time, but putting the video together I've since figured out. We actually missed one of the important primary mission vital ground rules, which is you're meant to remove the middle objective marker in the map. So this would have had a massive outcome change in the game, which you'll see later. But yeah, just calling that out so that other people don't make the same mistake that we did. Moving on to the secondary mission, this is the first time that Andy or myself had actually used secondary missions before, so for simplicity we both went with fixed mission objectives. I selected Bring It Down, which means you get bonus victory points for killing a monster or a vehicle. As we saw before, he has 2 vehicles and 1 monster, so that's a potential 6 VP, and then because they have a lot of wounds I could actually get some more if I'm able to kill them. And my second secondary mission is Cleanse, so for every objective marker I get, I can cleanse 1 or more markers, and for each one that I cleanse I get more victory points. For Andy's Aeldari, he chose the same Bring It Down one, because I've got my Doomstalker, Reanimator, and Canoptic Spider that he can kill to get some extra victory points. He also went for the teleporting Homer one, so that if he's in the center of the battlefield or in my deployment zone, he can dedicate a unit to call in a teleporting Homer and get some more victory points. Now that we know what the objectives are, let's jump into the terrain. For the terrain, we have certain barricades here, as well as like pipes that kind of just give cover, or yeah, I think that's basically it. And then we have these ones here that are ruins, and so the corner pieces mark off the footprint of the ruins. And then we also have a hill here, which gives you a little bit of advantage being on the top. And that's pretty much it. So now we've deployed the troops. So I've got my Reanimator at the back there, with the Canoptic Doomstalker, plus all my Necron warriors. And then on this side we've got all the Aeldari units all ready to come and destroy me. So yeah, let's see how we go. I'm not very optimistic about how this one's gonna pan out, but we shall see.
The Aeldari first turn, I repositioned a couple of things. So things I didn't move, kept the warp spiders there, chilling, saving them for later. Rearranged a little bit the Guardian Defenders. Moved the Viper across the table from, he was closer to the warp spiders, just moved him around. He still doesn't have line of sight on anything, so he's just chilling. Advanced on this flank a bit with Falcon moved up. Falcon actually shot at Big Dog, who's called
Canoptic Doomstalker.
The Canoptic thingy, Stalker. They're all Canoptics. Yeah. And took off 2 wounds. These guys moved. I forgot to advance with them. I forgot to advance was a thing, so that would have been nice if I'd remembered, but hindsight. These guys tried to cast Fortune on the Avatar and failed. So, yay. And that was my turn. Aeldari, turn 1 done.
So the Necron first round is I advanced my Immortals. The Royal Warden gives them Assault, but they didn't have line of sight on anything to hit. I left my Canoptic Doomstalker stationary so that it got the heavy weapon profile, and moved the Canoptic Reanimator forward, as well as all my Necron warriors with an advance roll and my Canoptic Spider. So it's really just trying to push forward. The Canoptic Reanimator is within 12 inches, so he can regenerate higher wounds. And then my Doomstalker took a shot at the vehicle over here. It did 3 wounds, or 3 hits, I think.
4 hits, 3 wounds.
Yeah, 4 hits, 3 wounds, but then used an Aeldari dice of 6 to save the fate dice, to save one of them, and then rolled a natural 6 to save the other, so 1 went through, causing 3 wounds.
At the end of Aeldari movement and shoot phase, we shot the scatter laser from the Guardian Defenders at the warriors, but failed to do any damage. We moved the warp spiders across the board, just repositioning. We had both the Viper and the Falcon shoot and destroy the Doomstalker. We had the Dire Avengers move up to the side objective and shoot at the Immortals, but do 0 damage, and that's it. And we had the Farseer and the Warlock Cabal, whatever they're called, shoot at the Necron warriors and kill 6 models, although 5 wounds were recovered, so 3 models came back. I think it was 7 actually, 7 models. And now we've just charged in with the Avatar and the Farseer and the Warlocks. And next we'll see how they go in combat. At the end of the Aeldari round 2 fight phase, didn't turn out as well as I expected. The Avatar Arcane was able to kill 2 of the Crypto Thrall bodyguards of the Necron warriors, and that's it. So 4 wounds went through in total. And the Farseer and bodyguards didn't kill anything. And in fact, when the Necron warriors attacked back, the 2 bodyguard warlocks both got killed. So, turns out Aeldari not so great in the fight phase.
Losing that Doomstalker in the very first turn was a devastating blow to my army. It just shows the power of Aeldari, that they can kill a unit with 12 wounds and an invulnerable save of 4+ in 1 turn when it's sitting in its deployment zone. I think there's nothing in the Necron army, or at least none that I've got, that has that sort of firepower with that sort of range and that speed that could do that. Luckily though for me was that he had not moved any of his troops at the back of his army forward to either the center objective or the one on the left. If he had done that, he would have been able to get some more victory points, especially using his teleport homer skill in the center of the battlefield, or just holding the objectives. He would get some primary victory points, but he's kind of holding back a little bit, which was very advantage for me in this turn. For the Necron round 2, I started off by getting 7 victory points for having my home objective, and the one in the middle I managed to reanimate plenty of Necrons to get enough objective control. For my movement phase, I just moved my spider onto the objective marker here, and in the reinforcement stage I brought in the Scarab Swarm. And then for the shooting phase, the Necron Immortals over here managed to kill 6 of the blue Aeldari units, even though they had some cover, so that was some lucky shooting. The Royal Warden and the Chronomancer helped out a little bit with that. And then in the fight phase, I was able to do some wounds to the blue support unit, and then 2 Crypto Thralls and a Necron warrior died in the conflict. And that's the end of my turn. Oh, actually, I used the cleanse ability, which is my secondary objective on this, scoring another 2 victory points.
End of Aeldari movement and shooting phase. We moved up onto the hill with Viper, Falcon, and Warp Spiders. The Viper and Falcon tried to take out the Canoptic thing. Reanimator. Took out 4 of 6 wounds, not enough to get that critical kill to get the bring it down secondary mission, so that sucks. Did have a win with the Warp Spiders. They moved up, and Andy forgot to roll the dice to see if one of them dies, so I will do that in a sec. But they shot and killed all exactly 10 wounds, 7 of them being devastating on the Immortals. So we'll see if after a d6 roll, if we need to recalculate that. And then we're moving into the assault phase, in the middle. At the end of Aeldari turn 3 fight phase, I lost 2 more wounds on the Farseer, but managed to kill 7 Necron warriors, which are totally going to be resurrected, but that's that.
Once again, Aeldari is showing how powerful they are by being able to destroy all of those Immortals in one single shoot phase. If he was able to just do one less wound, I would have been able to use the stratagem to regenerate them. And then even if I could have got it, you know, through the turn, then the reanimation protocols kicks in automatically at the start of my command phase. But being able to kill them all in one single attack from one unit is just such a phenomenal firepower that is kind of unrivaled, and really explains why Aeldari is like a 70% win rate on a non-mirror match at the moment. Luckily though, again, same as turn 1, he hasn't really pushed forward into my deployment zone or moved any other troops up into the center of the battlefield to do a teleporting homer or trying to challenge the objective control. So although he's completely dominating my army, in victory points I'm currently still slightly ahead. For turn 3 on the Necrons, I moved the spiders forward a little bit. I didn't advance roll them because I was going to charge, which later failed. I kept a Canoptic spider there to cleanse the objective. We did check the rules, and technically it could have shot the monster, but probably the 2 victory points were better, so that's what we ended up going with. And then these units, now that they're no longer part of a bodyguard unit, they lose a lot of their abilities and buffs, but they were able to kill 3 of these jumping warp spider things, so it took out a little bit of damage and did 1 damage to the big monster dudes. So only, 13 more wounds to go to kill it, and that's the end of the turn.
End of Eldar turn, I both movement, shooting and fight phase moved up the Viper to get my deploy teleport homer in enemy zone for 5 VP. Managed to shoot away the Technomancer and the Royal Warden using these guys here, using my Dire Avengers, Warp Spiders and Pulse Laser from my Falcon. And then in the fight phase, I did no damage and killed and lost my Farseer. That's the end of Eldar.
For the final turn, we run out of time, so we've just tried to speed things up. So we didn't bother attacking with the Necron blob in the middle because there's so many wounds remaining. The Necron spider did a cleanse to get another 2 victory points. The Scarabs moved forward, and then Andy did an Overwatch to kill 2 of them, which blew up, but unfortunately didn't do any deadly demise. We didn't bother doing the combat fighting for that because we're just trying to save time. And that's the end of the turn. Aeldari gets another 7 points for holding the home and 1 no man's land objective, then another 4 points for the teleporting homer in the opponent's battle zone. So even with that, it's impossible really for the Aeldari team to win on points, even if they did manage to roll really well and destroy the vehicles and stop me scoring objectives. It just was too late in the game with too high a lead to catch up. The best that they could really hope for was a draw if everything went perfectly. So it was a really interesting first 1,000 point game in that even though the Necron side won and it was the first win for NFIHammer, it was also kind of like a hollow victory because it felt like the units were being destroyed left, right and center. But it really shows that, you know, you really want to prioritize on the victory points above anything else if you are trying to hopefully win on points. Anyway, I'm glad that you stuck around and watched this far. It really means a lot to me. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on with this format, or any comments about how the game unfolded. Also, if you can leave a like, or most importantly subscribe, it really helps the channel out a lot. Anyway, until next time, see you later.